Space, the final frontier. Who the hell wouldn't want to fuck around in some zero-G? Add some zombies in the mix and we've got ourselves a space zombie loot game. Count me the fuck in.
Watch out though, it's scary. Don't play it with the lights off.
Sure thing. I'm sure it's fucking terrifying. Oh look, so scary. Yeah, right. Big deal. Jesus fucking Christ! Oh, did I just shit myself? Is that shit? No. It can't be. It was kind of wet. Maybe let me just... Nah, I'm good. Close fucking call though. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the psychological impact of playing Dead Space. How can a video game scare the shit out of a grown man? It's a culmination of expertly crafted atmosphere, storytelling, lore, game mechanics, and sound design. Dead Space is a fucking masterpiece. It'll forever hold a special place in my heart. Now let's dive into why Dead Space is such a masterpiece. Dead Space isn't your run-of-the-mill horror game. That's obvious. Horror games are rarely popular, just look at Silent Hill. But Dead Space capitalizes on the unsettling and jump scare elements of a horror game while delivering interactive, engaging gameplay. In many horror games, the character is powerless, but in Dead Space, a skilled player who manages their resources, rig, and weapons efficiently can dispatch enemies with ease, delivering a sense of accomplishment and almost a safe refuge to whatever the game throws at you. The story is engaging, epic, gut and heart-wrenching. It centers around Isaac Clarke, a blue-collar space engineer. Over the course of 3 Dead Space games, you witness Isaac Clarke's transformation into a confident, alien-kicking, nut-stomping machine. The writing is top-notch and excels in putting you in Isaac Clarke's shoes and showing how every decision weighs on him. He's not a hero or a soldier, making him relatable. He just wants to live his life, and no matter how far he tries to run from the marker, he must confront his demons to find peace. Before we get into the 3 Dead Space games, let's go through the Dead Space timeline leading up to Dead Space 1. If you don't care about that, just skip past this, but it would just be helpful for the structure of the video and not explaining things multiple times if we just hit all the lore up super quick. A long time ago, in a galaxy far away, there's an alien race of moons. I know, it would have been cooler if it wasn't moons, but gotta work with what we're given here. These moons eat organic matter. They pretty much shoot these markers all over the universe and emit power to them. The markers are machines. They're like radio antennas. They receive and transmit, to put it simply. They emit a signal that makes sentient life turn crazy and kill themselves. Then the molecules of their body reform and turn into necromorphs. Enough of these necromorphs, and it triggers a convergent event, which calls the moons to the planet, and the moons then eat the planet. Yeah, kind of stupid. But anyway, one of these markers land on Earth around the time the dinosaurs are fucking around. Coincidence? I don't know. No, but actually in Dead Space lore, it actually kills a dinosaur 65 million years ago. Oof. The year is 2214, and a team of researchers find the black marker in the ocean. One of them is Michael Altman. Basically, the dude wanted no part in the markers and attempts to destroy it, but some of the people who were exposed to it start worshipping it. Leave it to fucking humans, right? And they end up killing Altman and claiming he's the founder of the Church of Unitology. Homeboy is rolling in his grave. The government eventually catches wind of all this, locks down the site, takes the marker to a government black site, and starts conducting research on it. Because again, they have no idea what this thing does, and they realize they can essentially attach jumper cables to it and charge their shit. To them, it's a free money glitch for power. They just need to figure out how it works and get around the whole it makes people fucking crazy if they're close to it thing. While all this is happening, there's a small outbreak of necromorphs, but nothing too crazy, and the government was able to quell it. The Church of Unitology just has pictures of the markers at this point, but it's able to find some signs that it was in the area by analyzing fish that were also in the area and noting that they were definitely not regular degular fish. They believe that the marker will reform everyone into space angels and they'll live together in harmony, and judging from the games, most of them, or a lot of them, didn't realize that convergence and being made whole Nicole involves them getting their limbs ripped off by necromorphs and then combed in. But I digress. Fast forward and the year is 2314, 100 years later, and Earth government, which is now the Sovereign Colonies, is at war with Secessionists over scarcity of resources. They've also been studying the markers this whole time. As a last-ditch effort, they've set up multiple off-world marker sites, one of which being on Aegis 7. They also send an expeditionary fleet of ships to a place where they think the marker signal is coming from, hoping to harness the seemingly infinite energy and turn the tide of the war. At the New World Tau of Atlantis, they find a fuckload of dead aliens and an alien moon that was coming to eat them. Somehow the aliens stopped it from happening, but it was all the Sovereign Colonies needed to know. The Sovereign Colonies invoke a Scenario 5 event, and all the researchers are executed, all the marker sites buried or destroyed, all the planets the markers were researched on were blacklisted, and all the marker research is destroyed. Because of all this wasted effort and resources, the Secessionists win the war and make a new government called EarthGov. EarthGov at this point has very little understanding of the markers. All they really know was there's some research done on them, one could be on Aegis 7, and they shouldn't be fucked with. They kind of just, and just go on to live their best lives. About 200 years pass, and a greedy company, the CEC, gets ballsy. They start a mining op on a blacklisted planet, Aegis 7. Yeah, that Aegis 7. They find the marker, and with a lot of higher-ups in the company being unitologists, you know, the people who fucking worship those things, they send out a ship, the USG Ishimura, to retrieve it under the guise of a planet-cracking mission. What could go wrong? Obviously, everything goes wrong, and the entire mining colony turns into necromorphs, with people killing themselves and each other. The USG Ishimura shows up, gets the marker loaded up, and starts seeing all the bodies on the planet start to pile up. They issue a no-fly zone on the planet, but not before some infected shuttles of people and necromorphs slip through. The necromorphs start to infect people on the ship, and the infection runs rampant. All the while, the marker does its thing and makes people start losing their fucking minds. Some of the survivors on the ship trigger a rescue beacon, calling for help, which slides us nicely into Dead Space 1. The only part where your butt isn't clenched is the opening scene, as you approach the USG Ishimura, a massive CEC mining ship, one of the largest in the fleet. Things are already fishy, as the ship lights are out and no one's picking up your calls. At a sketchy landing, and the repair mission is off to a really shitty start. You took the job because your girlfriend, Nicole, is on board, and honestly, you want to see her for some, well, you know, some quality time together. Let's be real, they haven't seen each other in months. But the game keeps messing with you, as it appears like nobody's home on a ship meant for 1,500 people. An eerie feeling sets in. The ship's still intact, but where the fuck is everyone? You start digging into the diagnostic reports, and the gravity of the situation sinks in. The ship is royally fucked. Most systems are down, and you can't help but wonder how the hell this happened. Then, out of nowhere, Jen, no! Next thing you know, you're sprinting through dark corridors, chased by fucking necromorphs that'd gladly rip your throat out and nut in your forehead to turn you into one of them first chance they get. It all starts making sense why nobody's answering the phone. Fuck this, everybody's dead. Sorry, Nicole. Pussy ain't worth it, for real, for real. Back to the ship, let's get the fuck out of here. Fuck. So here you are, Isaac Clarke, an engineer. You just discovered the ship has a decaying orbit, necromorphs are running rampant, and half the crew has been, well, let's just say mutilated. To make matters worse, the survivors you find are all losing their goddamn minds. The game crushes any hope of escape, and you're fighting mission to mission just to prevent the ship from crashing back to Aegis 7, the planet you're supposed to mine. It's just cool. All the things you do have weight, they make sense. And there are a bunch of puzzles, zero-G, and hidden artifacts you stumble across during your journey, which keeps it interesting. Along the way, you start to collect audio logs and texts, piece by piece, mission by mission, audio log by audio log. You start to unravel the story of the USG Ishimura and what happened to the crew, all the while battling these monstrous, throbbing, thick necromorphs that are hell-bent on turning you into a human centipede-looking abomination. I mean, just look at the size of those fucking things. It's clearly more than one person's worth of flesh. And then, miraculously, you discover that your girlfriend Nicole is alive. You're thinking, Hell yeah. We definitely gonna celebrate that later, right? Wrong. It's the marker messing with your head. Being exposed to the marker in Dead Space is like staring directly into the Chernobyl reactor right after it exploded. It'll fuck you up. But the marker messes with everyone's head. Well, almost everyone. There's some people with like a will of steel and it can't affect them. So the marker sends necromorphs to kill those people. I'd say like 1 in 10,000 people may not be affected, but with those odds, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, the entire campaign can be summed up as follows. You head to the USG Ishimura to fix the ship and reunite with old Nicole. You quickly realize that the shit has hit the fan and there's no going back. You're on a roller coaster of trying to keep the ship from plummeting to Aegis 7, dealing with everyone losing their fucking minds, and devising a plan to stop the marker and the necromorphs by putting the marker back on Aegis 7. However, in the end, you're played like a fiddle by an illusion of Nicole that the marker conjured. The EarthGov spy that was embedded in your team to cover up the marker gets squished by a colossus goop monster, and you engage in a massive battle with the aforementioned goop monster. Finally, you hop into a shuttle and watch the fireworks as the marker and everything else gets crushed by the rock that was supposed to be mined by the Ishimura. It's a planet cracker, so it like fucking takes really big pieces of rock. To sum it up, Dead Space 1's iconic campaign excels because of its well-written characters, each with their own backstory, motives, and believability. There's a story here. A story of what happened. Throughout the game, you collect little pieces of the puzzle until, at the end, all the answers are laid bare. You learn why the marker exists, how it's a space artifact from an alien race, and how Earth's government tried to study and harness its power, leading to a cataclysmic failure that they tried to bury on Aegis 7. The mining company just wanted profit, and the Church of Unitology wanted the marker because it's literally the center of their religion. Each party has its motives, and you have to piece them together through audio logs and the campaign. It's a fascinating journey with superb set pieces, a brilliantly designed ship, and exceptional voice acting, making it feel authentic and immersive as a real-life scenario. The sound and lighting are excellent, with gut-wrenching weird gurgles, open doors with shadowy figures moving around it, the clunking of your metallic boots on the floor, the illumination from your space visor, the visceral nature of the necromorphs, the isolation and creepy nature of deep space is captured perfectly, and it just has a bone-chilling but fun atmosphere. Alright, lore break. Between Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2, a few things happen. Isaac is found in a shuttle taken back to Titan Station, where he's experimented on by EarthGov. EarthGov sends a recovery party out to find the USG Ishimura, where they encounter fragments of the marker that turn people fucking insane, and there's another necromorph outbreak on the recovery ships. The military shows up with some Dead Space Marines and pretty much kill or capture any of the remaining crew. Then they blow up the now necromorph infected rescue ships. They also interrogate and torture the survivors to find out what they know. One of the scientists, Strauss, came really close to the marker, and they use him and Isaac's brain, which the marker imprinted itself on, kind of like a brain herpes kind of deal, to rebuild a replica of the marker on Titan Station and do research on it. Now, you may be thinking, wait, what the heck? Didn't the government learn their lesson the first time? Well, you gotta remember, the government that found the original markers was dissolved, and they buried all their research or killed everyone who was involved in the research. So humanity at this point really doesn't know jack shit about the markers. And well, they want to figure out for themselves. What could go wrong, right? The only major difference is instead of replicating these markers and putting them on desolate worlds, the new government builds the research sites in the middle of every major city. And knowing what we know about markers, that's a terrible fucking idea. The Unitologists learn about the marker research on Titan Station, and being they worship the fucking things, don't take too kindly to that. It's like a perversion of their faith. Think about if like there was, Jesus Christ's body and a bunch of researchers were like picking him apart and like trying to find the god dust in him and shit. But Christians wouldn't like that either. So they then sabotage the research site and destroy its containment, which then sparks necromorph infestations on Titan Station. They also realize that Isaac Clarke's brain is the key to making a marker. So they send a team of spies to pick him up at the insane asylum where he's being kept, which is where we pick up Dead Space 2. You're awakened from stasis, found by an unknown character, whose introduction is unfortunately cut short as he gets coomed in by a flying space zombie, clearly containment has failed, and the entirety of Titan Station is in chaos. The game wastes no time in getting you into the action. The beginning of the game is a crazy rush, with EarthGov trying to eliminate you, presumably to tie off loose ends because they messed up and don't want anyone finding out about their latest escapade of studying the markers for power. As you progress, you follow the directions of an unknown rescue team, who you find out are oddly enough unitologists. They want you to harvest your brain again, but this time it's not for scientific research. They're building a marker to worship it. But don't worry, EarthGov shows up, turns them all into pulp. At this point, you're not exactly sure what to do until you run into the absolute smoke show, Ellie. Throughout the game, you've been obsessed with and haunted by hallucinations of Nicole, your girlfriend from Dead Space 1. But let's be honest, Ellie is a significant upgrade. You meet her while she's fiercely battling a horde of necromorphs. She doesn't trust you initially, probably because most people have gone insane due to the marker's effects. But eventually, she, along with Strauss, another psych ward patient you encounter, hatch a plan to destroy the marker in the government sector of the station. All the while, the visions of your late girlfriend persist, and let's just say she's not thrilled about you finding a new, friend. On your way to the government sector, the director of Titan Station, Hans Tideman, tries to thwart your progress in every way possible. But being the smart engineer that you are, you discover a method to bring the government sector to you using the one and only USG Ishimura's gravity tethers. You know, the ship from the first game. It's being renovated, cleaned up, all the bodies, all the guts off the walls. Just gonna slap it on the ass and send it back out there. I'm sure it wouldn't be haunted or anything. Once you get close enough, you use the mining drill to break into the basement. Oh, and Strauss goes off the deep end, rips out Ellie's eye, and carries it around for a minute. Eventually, you run into him and you put an end to him. Somewhat annoyed, he messed up the whole new girlfriend situation by stabbing him in the head with a screwdriver, the same one he took out Ellie's eye with. So you're on your way to the marker in the government sector, and Ellie finds a functional gunship. She then suggests the two of you just leave, and however, you realize that the visions of your wife Nicole continue to haunt you because you can't let go. So you betray Ellie, sending her away on the gunship. It's pretty clear she wants a pipe at this point because she was super duper mad about that. Nice. Nicole's visions then lead you up to a machine where you have to perform some sort of eye surgery to unlock the part of your brain where the marker's stored. If you mess up, there's a quite unique cutscene waiting for you. Then she guides you to the base of the marker, all the while saying, "Make us whole, Isaac," and there's a convergence event happening. Keep in mind, this is all happening in your head, so maybe don't trust it entirely. Along the way, you also find a tape of Tideman attempting to evacuate, with one of his support staff arguing that it's against regulations, and the ensuing debate is kind of entertaining. You finally reach the base of the marker and you encounter a charred Tideman who's a little salty about his research going up in smoke. He shoots you, but you, being an absolute fucking unit, manage to turn the table, stabbing him with the same object he shot you with, then executing him. Then comes the plot twist. The marker was playing tricks on you the whole time, using Nicole's memory as a puppet to lure you into it so it can absorb you. For some reason, it needs to absorb the creators of the marker for convergence to occur, and you're one of them. This sets the stage for a massive final boss fight. As you ultimately defeat the memory of Nicole in your brain, the marker crumbles, and you sit down accepting your fate, as you clearly are about to go down with the ship. Jeez, I guess there's gonna be no more Dead Spaces. The credits start to roll, and out of nowhere, big booty sexy Ellie shows up with her tasteful Australian accent. She picks you up, and the both of you ride off into the sunset. There's also a neat nod to the first game as the camera zooms in on Isaac's face. In the first Dead Space, he saw a vision of Nicole, but in the second one, it's Ellie, and that signifies he's moved on from Nicole and finally laid his demons to rest. Or so we thought. Overall, this Dead Space was super fun as it captured a lot of the themes and unsettling nature of the first one, but added improvements in loot and weapon customization. Alright, one more lore break. In between Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2, Isaac and Ellie break up, and she gets with the EarthGov captain, who's a total chode, Norton. EarthGov starts building marker sites all over, and unitologists start getting crazier and crazier, eventually waging all-out war against EarthGov. They start releasing marker sites all throughout the different colonies, which trigger convergent events, and spawns many necromorph infestations, enveloping entire cities. Ellie eventually discovers what she believes to be the marker homeworld, and the source of the marker signal. She believes she can go there and shut the thing off for good, but she needs help from one of the only people who can translate marker marker symbols, Isaac Clarke. And we arrive at Dead Space 3. Before you know it, EarthGov smashes in your door, slaps you around a bit, and tells you they need your engineering skills to help stop the necromorph apocalypse. Initially, you tell them to fuck off. Not really your problem. But hey, wouldn't you know it, your long-lost slam piece, Ellie, happens to be there. And you can't really say no. You're about to head out and help her when Danik, the batshit crazy genocidal unitologist leader, finds you and starts quote-unquote freeing the markers, essentially destroying all EarthGov's marker research sites and causing chaos. It looks like they've also been genociding people, giving the markers plenty of flesh and bodies, and it pretty much works. You eventually link back up with Carver, hop onto the ship, and go find Ellie. Once you get there, there's a bunch of mines that hit you from a 200-year-old fleet of ships that were also there with similar intent. Pretty quickly, you find out that the planet isn't the marker homeworld, and it's actually the alien homeworld that also got dicked by markers. They, however, were able to freeze the planet and stop a convergence event. Danik somehow follows you here, and luckily you hit just about every fucking space mine, so he has no problem getting to the planet. And this is where Dead Space story gets a little fucky. It kind of sucks, but you know, I did a shitload of research for this video, and it could have been a lot cooler. But for the sake of not complaining for 45 minutes, I'm just gonna blurt it all out real quick. You do a bunch of alien science and make another key for the alien machine. Long story short, the alien race got no-scoped by the markers and called the Brethren Moons. You know, the alien moons I mentioned in the beginning? The moons show up, but the aliens somehow build a machine underground before they could get completely consumed and turned it on, which froze the moon. But the moon still emits the power signal to all the markers, including the one on Earth. So if you turn the machine off, convergence resumes, and the moons will call all of its moon homies to come fuck your shit up and go back to Earth. That's what Danik wants. You want the machine to go into go hard mode, which essentially crashes the moon into the ice planet, destroying the signals. Norton, though, has a different plan. He just wants to smash Ellie. So he double crosses you, sells you out to Danik, but then Danik is like, JK, played you, Norton, get fucked. You escape, you kill Norton. Ellie's mad about it for like 6 seconds because, well, Norton was kind of lame, but after that, she's DTF not too long after. Ellie gets captured by Danik. You get to the machine, give Danik the key, he turns it off. He's super happy about it at first, but then gets instantly crushed, which was, not gonna lie, pretty funny. Almost like he had main character vibes, but then gets insta-dicked by a fucking rock. Then you're like, yo, I forgot, I'm Isaac Clarke. I'm actually going to go fight this fucking moon. So you fly over there, throw a bunch of moon shit into its eyes, ram your throbbing cock through its tummy, and kill it. You then fall to the planet. It's assumed you die. Ellie is super duper stoked about the marker signals being turned off. She's like kinda sad about you probably dying, but then she heads back to Earth to find a new boyfriend. All tied off nice and clean. JK, somehow you survived that massive fucking fall, not surprising, with Sergeant Carver. You jerry-rig some vessels, kill the remaining unitologists, and head back to Earth. Turns out the Brethren Moons found Earth as well. Kinda sucks. And to be honest, I have no idea how they're gonna make a Dead Space 4 out of that. Fuck. After typing all that out, I realized how silly the Dead Space story got at the end there. Like, really big moons with big mouths, and they just fucking eat like organic shit. Like, it's a moon. I mean, it's actually kind of lame. But I have to say, the gameplay is really what shines in Dead Space 3. The art, the level design, the set pieces, everything else in terms of it just being a really solid and satisfying game to play, kind of make you look past the terrible story. It hurts to admit that because I love Dead Space, but it's true. They could have done better with the story. In closing, Dead Space had 3 really fun games. Was the lore and the story for Dead Space 3 super on point? No, but the item crafting and the customizations were top notch. You could make hundreds of different weapon combinations, upgrade your rig, and to top it off, really fun and unique monsters to kill. I would say although the story was probably the best in the first Dead Space, the gameplay was top notch for 2 and 3. I loved the combat, I loved the gore, and the gameplay experience overall was just awesome. So yeah, that's Dead Space. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and until the next one, take it easy.